Let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're exploring a massive biological paradox, one that has absolutely baffled marine scientists for years. We're talking about giant kelp forests thriving in the pitch black of the deep ocean. Normally we picture these vibrant, sun-drenched coastlines when we think of marine plant life. But this ecosystem, it just throws all the rules right out the window.
Now, what's really wild here is the sheer depth. We're talking 150 meters down. From the Philippine Sea all the way over to the coasts of Brazil, Australia, and North America, fishermen and scientists were dragging up these massive marine plants that, biologically speaking anyway, simply shouldn't be there.
To put that depth into perspective for you, these deep-sea anomalies are growing deeper than the Great Pyramid of Giza is tall. It's like a forest that shouldn't exist. And that sets up the ultimate mystery for us. How on earth does a giant marine plant, an organism that's literally dependent on light for survival, manage to grow and thrive in a world of total darkness?
Part 1, an impossible discovery. So, back in the late 19th century, naval officers were already whispering rumors about giant marine plants being pulled up from the abyss. But, it was just talk. Fast forward to the mid-20th century. New scuba technology hits the scene, and brave aquanauts actually dive down into the Mediterranean and confirm these legends with their own eyes. And today, well, we've traded in those scuba tanks for cutting-edge underwater robots to map out these zones.
Those mid-century divers had essentially crossed over into what's called the mesophotic zone. This is a region of the ocean roughly 30 to 150 meters deep, where light is incredibly scarce. Think of it as a shadowy borderland. It separates our familiar sunlit surface world from the absolute unyielding darkness of the deep sea. Just to give you an idea of how dark we're talking, at 90 meters down, sometimes only 0.1% of surface sunlight actually makes it to these plants. 0.1%. It is virtually pitch black.
And yet, despite being completely starved of the sun, researchers found giant kelps down there that are over twice the size of a giraffe. They're actually growing even larger than the kelp we see in shallow waters. It's crazy. They are pulling this off with way less light than they should need just to stay alive.
Moving on to Section 2, the Great Light Mystery. Here's the thing. Kelps are the largest marine plants on Earth, and by definition, they need light to grow. So how exactly are they pulling off this impossible feat? How does an organism fundamentally hardwired for sunlight adapt to thrive in the dark?
Let's think back to high school biology for a second. Photosynthesis relies on 4 main ingredients, right? Sunlight, water, nutrients, and CO2. Now, the deep ocean has no shortage of water. It's absolutely packed with nutrients, and it's full of CO2. But that first ingredient, sunlight, is severely, severely limited.
Initially, scientists figured, okay, these kelps must just be hyper-efficient. The theory was that they have a huge surface area compared to their biomass, letting them sponge up whatever tiny scrap of light they can find while minimizing respiration. But when you actually crunch the numbers, the research shows that even at absolute peak sunlight, they simply do not photosynthesize enough to sustain that kind of growth. Efficiency alone just doesn't explain it.
Which brings us to Section 3, the secret of thriftiness. It turns out shallow aquatic plants waste a massive amount of energy converting maroon CO2, which is mostly in this bicarbonate form, into something they can actually use. Plus, they burn energy making molecular sunscreen to protect themselves from harsh sunlight. Deep kelp? It takes the easy way out. Because deeper waters have more CO2 that doesn't need converting, they just use low-energy, passive diffusion to get their fill. And living in the dark means they can skip manufacturing that molecular sunscreen altogether. Pretty smart, right?
But wait, the energy-saving tricks don't stop there. Much like shallow polar kelp forests that have to survive months of winter darkness, these deep giants have another trick up their sleeve. During the darker winter months, they completely suppress their respiration and literally live off of carbon reserves they stocked up over the summer. They are basically the ultimate biological penny pinchers.
Section 4, a deep climate refuge.
Now, while a deep kelp's access to sunlight changes with the seasons, the temperature down there in the deep ocean is remarkably consistent. They just don't have to deal with the wild temperature swings that constantly batter our shallow coastlines. And that consistency, it's a total game changer for the ecosystem. As our oceans continue to warm up, this environmental stability transforms these impossible dark forests into a crucial climate refuge. they're offering a desperately needed cool shelter for vulnerable shallow water species that are quite literally fleeing deadly marine heat waves.
On top of that, they're actively fighting climate change on the front lines. These deep kelps are drawing down atmospheric CO2. And get this, even when pieces break off, that kelp detritus continues to photosynthesize and suck up CO2 as it slowly drifts down to the ocean floor. Scientists are still nailing down the exact numbers, but it is super clear that these hidden giants have a major impact on the global carbon cycle.
Let's wrap up with Section 5, Exploring Hidden Frontiers.
Here's a wild thought. We actually don't even know how much of the seafloor they cover. Why? Because most of these mesophotic kelp forests are completely invisible to our satellites. If you're looking down from space, all you see is miles and miles of dark blue water. So to actually map them, researchers have to rely on those cutting-edge underwater robots we mentioned earlier, remotely operated vehicles, or ROVs. These things can dive and film at depths way beyond human reach, and they are literally rewriting our maps right now. Just recently, marine biologists used ROVs to discover brand new giant kelp forests thriving right off the tropical coast of the Galapagos Islands. No way we'd have known they were there otherwise. So, given the incredible surprises these thrift-driven giants have already thrown at us, growing taller than giraffes in pitch-black water, manipulating global carbon, and acting as vital climate refuges, it leaves us with one massive, lingering question. What else is waiting in the dark to challenge everything we think we know about life on our planet? Keep that in mind as we continue to map the unseen world